Hello again. Today we will be mostly looking at trees and how I build them, how I make them. Yeah, build a tree anyway. You know what I mean. Right, it was prompted by a video I was watching last night on the YouTube, and it was a guy who was planting his trees around his layout. He had a mass of them, and he'd actually bought these trees. They were knock trees. They looked nice, well, most of them. There were a few cheaper versions, whether they were knock or some other make, I'm not too certain, but you know, there were a few toilet brushes there stuck about to keep the price down. I was fascinated by the amount of trees they had, which is, you know, it's nice to have a load of trees because you know, it breaks up the countryside a bit. And so I looked up on the internet the price of these things, and I looked up specifically knock trees, and the smaller ones started at £6 each, and the larger ones went up to around £15 each. That's €6, €15 equivalent, and whatever it is in dollars, I don't know, or yen, wherever you're watching. So I thought that he may be putting in about 20 trees, and if you average that out at about £10 a tree, that's a lot of money. A lot of money. My brain's gone numb at the moment, but that's too much for me. I don't do. It's why it takes me so long to actually finish anything, I suppose. The railway, the model boats, you know, everything else. I occasionally buy a kit, very occasionally, but I like building from scratch. I like the what's the word? Brainache, I suppose. You know, that if you buy it, it's not the same for me. And maybe for you. I don't decry people who want to buy a kit or buy a complete model, perhaps. I don't know. It's just not for me. And so I like to be able to do things for myself from scratch, excluding a few bits, of course. The bits that I showed you the other day from the Scale Scenery people, the little, what was it, the little benches, wasn't it? Park benches, and a little bit of, but not all, fencing. You've still got to put them together, obviously. I couldn't make a park bench anyway. I don't have a laser cutter or whatever it is they use to do those kind of things. So those little minimal objects, things that make a railway look nice and finished, as it were, I'll fork out the money for. It takes me a bit to think about it, but I will eventually fork out the money. So what we're going to do today is build a few trees. I'll show you how I build them anyway, and it's basically for pennies. Didn't cost me much at all. Right, first things first, trees, my trees are made from wire. Okay, so I make a wire armature. There's basically two types of wire that you can buy. One is a solid core wire, which is no good for this particular job, and the other is multi-core type of wire, which is this stuff here. So you've got loads and loads of very thin strands of copper within the cable itself, covered in plastic. Right, so if you buy, what, no, you buy a metre of this stuff, it'll last you forever. And what you need, if it's at all feasible to buy, is the thicker cable, the stuff you use for like cookers and high wattage use equipment. You'll find it at the local DIY shop, you know. Anyway, strip the cable, take the plastic off the outside. And what I've done with this one is I've worked out how high I want the tree and cut the cable to double the length, okay? And then I've cut 2 bits of that. And each bit I've doubled into 2 and then added all together. So there's actually 4 bits here. Yeah, go there, 1, 2, 3, 4 bits of cable. And I've twisted together the length that I want the trunk to be. Pair of pliers on the end, hold it just here and twist until the thing's solid. Okay. Then, if we're modelling a tree like, well, I make generic trees, don't I? They all look the same. If we're looking at the horse chestnut outside, then the trunks all come out, the big trunks anyway, all come out from one spot more or less, don't they? One level. And this is basically what this would be. So then I twist each one for whatever length I want that big trunk to be, and then divide the wires up into 2 again. Can be a bit of a job, I tell you. Alright, so you've got 2 bits there. You then start twisting those again until you've got the lengths of those that you want ad infinitum, until you get to the very, very ends, which are just 1 or 2 little strands of copper at the end. Alright? So you then have something that sort of looks a bit like that one. I hold it in front of the white thing here. You can sort of see it, can't you? Sort of. Alright. So I could bring it a bit closer. Okay. So we end up at the ends of the branches with very fine wires, and as we come down we get thicker and thicker and thicker until we get to the trunk. The trunk I will actually cover in masking tape. Just wind it round. If you want a gnarly trunk, I suppose you can leave it as it is, and then I paint the whole thing. Alright, so I use a thickish paint. I don't spray it. I use a thickish paint to cover up the copper wire look-alike trunks. Okay, so it's a fairly thick paint, brown obviously, or whatever colour you want your tree. Silver birch, I suppose it'll be silver, won't it? Anyway, a silver birch doesn't look like that, does it? So we've got this one here with the masking tape. There's one I made before, painted. Okay, so we've got the lengths of the, we've got the height of the trunk of the tree. As you saw, that one outside that we've got in the garden has got a lot of lichen and it's got a lot of ivy climbing up it from the base. So that's something that could be added for realism to the trunk of the tree. A case of painting some glue on and sprinkling on some green bits. But how do we continue from here? Right. Now, about 20 years ago, I bought some brown and some green stuff, and I can't, it is modelling stuff and it is model railway stuff, but I can't for the life of me remember what it's called. I'll show you it though, perhaps you'll recognise it. I've actually hidden it behind the white thing. Gordon Bennett, talk about organised chaos. Oh, there we go. In its ice cream carton. That is green, and it's kind of like a mat. Yeah, like a green matting, isn't it? See-through green matting. And I've got two colour greens, so I can sort of ring the changes. The stuff which is obviously on the top of the tree would be lighter than perhaps the leaves at the bottom of the tree, maybe. And also for autumn, I bought some autumnal stuff, which is kind of brown, well, two-tone, orange, some brown, for leaves, for foliage, not leaves, foliage. Right, so what we actually have to do is to cut off a small piece, very small, alright, like that size. What's that? It's about 2 inches square, something like that, no bigger. And tease it out, pull it out till it feels as if it wants to sort of snap, but it's not going to, because there's this kind of strandy stuff inside it that stops it from snapping. You want to be able to read a magazine through it, so you've got a piece of this, which you will then put, before you do that, have a look at the ends of your trees and tease those out such that it's perfect for putting this on. You can then paint it with white wood glue, yeah, PVA, and place this on. The white wood glue will hold it, on, and continue around the tree until you've completed the whole, and you're happy with it, you know, if it looks like a tree. You can, by the way, make much smaller ones and make them look like bushes if you want, with this exactly the same method. So that's alright, we'll do that. So we'll carry on around the tree, adding bits as we go, until we've completed the whole tree. Like that. Now for some unknown reason, I actually sprayed snow on this one. You know, that kind of snow. And there's still quite a bit of white remnant on it. So, yeah, it's a bit weird, isn't it? But that's basically what it's going to look like in the end. Alright? And if you make the trunk long enough, think about it before you do it. But if you make the trunk long enough, obviously you can drill a hole in your baseboard or in the polystyrene or whatever it is you've got that you're putting this into, and then sink this into it, and with some PVA glue, that will be solid as a rock. Unlike those horrible plastic base things, which are probably about that size, which are likely to snap off and look horrible. Underneath the tree, put your dead leaves, okay, just a bit of PVA glue, bit of dead leaves, because you always find them underneath trees, don't you? Up a trunk, just a line of PVA, sprinkle on some greeny ivy stuff, looks like ivy, you know, green stuff. And there, I reckon, you've got a very realistic looking generic tree. And there is a health warning that goes with these, by the way. They are, I'm trying to think of the word, they're not contagious. Once you made one, I can't think of the bloody word now. Once you made one, you want to make 20 or 30 or 40. They're a bit like that. Yeah, a bit contagious. It's not the right word, is it? Never mind. My brain's not working this afternoon. That's two glasses of wine don't help, does it? Anyway, that, I reckon that's all right. I shall go and plonk this. Well, no, what I'll do first is I'll spray it with some hair lacquer. Not that, as you can see, it's not that I actually use any hair lacquer, but I did buy some for this particular job. And I shall spray it with that first, and then sprinkle some greeny little bits on, you know, green stuff. I shall sprinkle some of that on to get rid of the snow scene which is on here, and I shall go and plant it on the railway, and then I shall show you at a later date when I've managed to plant it what it looks like. I reckon it'll look alright. Right, it's finished. This is it, my little tree. I've sprayed it with the hairspray stuff and put on some foliage, sprinkled it on, and I don't think that looks too bad actually for a tree. Homemade. Anyway, I remembered the word addictive. It is very addictive. I can remember when I first started making them, I got about 20 odd trees I made, but I didn't manage to put all the greenery on them, so they're just the bare metal work at the moment. Some of them are painted and some of them aren't. So I shall go away and finish those. The foliage, which I put on, this one, maybe it's a bit light, I don't know. Anyway, I've got some darker stuff from a company called Serious Play. I'll do some darker stuff, and then I need to buy some more of this, it's called filet out here in France. I think it's mesh. That's the stuff which we sort of spread out and put on initially. I'm going to have to go and get some more of that. And it's not it's not really available in France, but I found a site which I can get all the stuff from, and so I shall carry on and show you. We'll plant them, shall we? I wish life was real life was that easy. Anyway, I'll love you and leave you until the next time. I hope to see you back, and look after yourselves, eh? Okay, bye for now.